Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And before I start the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous two videos, Fastlane review is up. It was up since last night after the show was over. Fastlane was a complete waste of time. It was absolutely terrible. It was a predictable show. There was no need for Fastlane 3 weeks before WrestleMania. Just a complete waste of time. The show was last night. So definitely check out my review of Fastlane if you guys haven't seen it. Also check out the other video that I posted today. Did another movie hunting video where I went to the Salvation Army and also Major's Records and Video. Definitely check out that video if you guys haven't seen it. Posted it earlier today. Went up about like 7 o'clock. An hour before Raw started. So definitely check out those two videos if you guys haven't seen them yet. But Monday Night Raw, what do you expect? I say it every single week. Monday Night Raw fucking sucks. This show was absolutely terrible tonight. I mean, what do we get on the show tonight? We had Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus. Again, we had Asuka versus Payne Royce. We had the debut of Rhea Ripley on Monday Night Raw, which I don't get why they debuted her tonight. You know, they had, these promos building her up, to her debut. I'm like, WWE should just kept Rhea Ripley and debuted her at the Raw after WrestleMania. But no, we have to get Rhea Ripley up because we have to make her face Asuka for the title at WrestleMania. Yes, that's what basically happened tonight, where Rhea Ripley came out and she wanted to face Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. So that is just, I don't know how they're going to make this build in 3 weeks between Asuka and Rhea Ripley. 3 weeks we got until WrestleMania. And you're going to build this up very fast? And we had 2-on-1 handicap match, Drew McIntyre versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. If Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match, then Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander are banned from ringside during McIntyre's match with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. And we also saw Braun Strowman versus Elias again. And this is, Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon. They think that, we didn't remember this match happening last night at the pay-per-view. This match happened last night at the pay-per-view. Why are we getting it again? Why do we get it again tonight? Oh my God, I gotta laugh at this. There was a point in this match where they added a fucking train sound effect, when Braun Strowman was running around. Oh my God, that was so fucking terrible. That was god awful. It was so hilarious. A fucking train sound effect. What's next? Are they gonna add a Roadrunner sound effect where you just hear the Roadrunner when Braun Strowman's running around? You're gonna hear the Roadrunner going meep meep. Are you gonna hear that next? Hell, when the train sound effect was heard, I thought Thomas the Tank Engine was gonna come out and make an appearance. Unbelievable. This show, when I saw that train sound effect being heard, I'm like, all right, my Raw should just go to Nickelodeon. After what we saw last week with Shane McMahon dumping the green slime on Strowman. This show deserves to be on Nickelodeon. Oh my God. Monday Night Raw, like I said, fucking terrible tonight. But let's get started with the review. So, Monday Night Raw opened up with Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus. A match that we've seen again, and it wasn't that bad of a match in my opinion. It was okay. We had the match started. Both Bobby Lashley and Sheamus ended up locking up. Lashley took Sheamus down. They ended up tangling on the mat. Sheamus ended up taking Lashley into the corner. Lashley ended up tying Sheamus up, but Sheamus ended up elbowing Lashley. So Lashley then took it into the corner, and he ended up trying to bully around Sheamus. Sheamus ended up fighting back. Lashley then ended up being Sheamus right back down. Lashley ended up charging into the corner of Sheamus, but Sheamus ended up nailing Lashley with a big boot. Sheamus then ended up taking Lashley down with a clothesline. He was shown stomping away at Lashley. So Sheamus was beating Lashley around the ring. So then Lashley ended up countering from Sheamus, and then Lashley ended up hitting a snap suplex to Sheamus. So Lashley then ended up laying a neck breaker to Sheamus, ended up locking in a headlock. Sheamus ended up fighting back up when he was in the headlock that was locked in from Lashley. Lashley ended up kneeing Sheamus and then started working him with right hands. Lashley then sended Sheamus to the apron, but Sheamus ended up dropping Lashley over the top rope. So at the end of the match, we had Bobby Lashley end up winning. Lashley ended up leveling Sheamus with a spine buster, and then he ended up applying the Hurt Lock on Sheamus, and that was that. Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match. But overall, the match was okay. Wasn't that bad of a match. Post-match, we had Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. They ended up pulling Sheamus out to the floor. They were pounding down on Sheamus. And out came Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre ended up taking Shelton Benjamin out, and then he took out Cedric. McIntyre then tossed Cedric over the barricade, and he then faced off with Shelton Benjamin. So McIntyre then told Shelton to bring it again. McIntyre ended up turning around. He was staring down at Bobby Lashley. McIntyre entered the ring. Him and Lashley had a face-off. Lashley then was shown raising the WWE Championship in the air. McIntyre was talking some trash to Lashley. MVP then got in between the both of them. And MVP ended up telling Lashley to save it for WrestleMania. So that was that. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. They both end up walking up on MVP and Bobby Lashley. And Lashley wasn't so happy with Shelton and Cedric's interference, because they did interfere in the match. So MVP ended up scolding both Cedric and Shelton Benjamin for the both of them embarrassing Lashley, like what they did when they dropped the tag team titles, when they lost the tag team titles to the New Day. So MVP ended up telling Cedric and Shelton to think about how they're going to make things right. So that was that. Then we had Asuka versus Payne Royce. This was awful. This was a boring, awful match here. Asuka ended up winning the match, ended up locking in the Asuka lock on Payne Royce. Payne Royce ended up tapping out, so Asuka ended up winning. Post-match, we had Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley made her Monday Night Raw debut, which was wrong, in my opinion. I think WWE should have held Rhea Ripley off until the Raw after WrestleMania. But they should have made it a surprise and not have all these promos advertising her. There should have been a surprise. They should have saved Rhea as a surprise for the Raw after WrestleMania. But Rhea Ripley came out. She ended up taking the mic. And she ended up saying that Asuka is one of the greatest champions in WWE history. And that she proved her point. Ripley ended up saying that last she saw Charlotte was out here challenging Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. While Asuka was away recovering from having her teeth knocked out. And Rhea went on to say that Charlotte isn't here and that she is out recovering from COVID. And yes, news broke out. It is official that Charlotte tested positive for COVID, and that is why she is out. So there you go. That is your answer as to why Charlotte hasn't been seen on television. She got tested positive for COVID, and she's at home resting. So Rhea Ripley ends up telling Asuka she needs an answer. Ripley wanted to say that this is on her first official night here on Monday Night Raw. She is challenging Asuka to a title match, to a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. So Asuka ended up shaking her head. Rhea Ripley ended up pointing up at the WrestleMania sign. So Asuka is hyped up. Asuka ended up saying that Rhea Ripley is not ready for her. So Asuka then accepts the match. So there you go. We have our Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. And that was the reason why they brought up Rhea Ripley here. Because Asuka has no one else to challenge for the Raw Women's Championship. And I have to say, I would want to see Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. Hell, it would originally have been Charlotte if she didn't get COVID. And we all didn't want to see that again. Who would want to see Asuka versus Charlotte again for the Raw Women's Championship? That would be boring. At least we're getting Rhea Ripley and not Charlotte. That was that. But this whole segment was terrible. It was terrible. So then Adam Pearce ended up stopping Drew McIntyre backstage. Adam Pearce ended up giving props to McIntyre for his match last night, No Holds Barred, where he faced off with Sheamus, which was a very good match last night. It was one of the other two decent matches on the card last night. That match, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and the main event, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. So those are the only three matches that were decent to good last night on the Fastlane card. But still, that did not make Fastlane a good show. It still sucked. So Adam Pearce ended up going on and he ended up mentioning how Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin have challenged him to a handicap match. So McIntyre was interested and that he has an idea. McIntyre ended up telling Adam Pearce that if he wins the handicap match, then Cedric and Shelton Benjamin are banned from ringside at WrestleMania. So Adam Pearce ended up telling McIntyre that it's consider it done. So we saw that later on in the night. Oh, and then we had Miz TV. Great. Miz TV. Yes, it sounded like a good Monday Night Raw, right? Oh, great. Miz was in the ring with John Morrison. Miz ended up saying that he wants to vent first. So he rants about Damian Priest and Bad Bunny and how Bad Bunny has been walking around the past several weeks. Miz then ended up saying about how dominant he has been. He mentions names like Brock Lesnar. And he ended up mentioning that him and Morrison have more than 30 years of combined experience, with too many title reigns to count. So Miz ended up showing us how him and Morrison aren't featured on the WrestleMania poster, which they put up on the screen. And we saw Bad Bunny and Damian Priest on the poster. And I'm like, really? They put Bad Bunny on the WrestleMania poster. Does Bad Bunny even deserve to be on the WrestleMania poster? No. That should have went to another superstar. They should have added a superstar on the poster and not fucking Bad Bunny. What a waste. So Miz ended up saying that last week was his last straw, but Bad Bunny got his attention. And he ended up showing us a replay of last week on Monday Night Raw where Damian Priest defeated Jackson Riker, which was a squash match. So he ended up showing how he ended up delivering that guitar shot to Bad Bunny. And then we saw Miz end up saying to let that be a lesson to Bad Bunny and other musicians and actors and sports stars who think that they can just waltz into the company and think they can do what they want. So Miz had an announcement. So Miz ended up calling for a drum roll. He ended up announcing that next week's special edition of the Dirt Sheet. Oh, great. So we're going to have to suffer through this next week. Next week's special edition of the Dirt Sheet will feature the world premiere of their new single. Yes, The Miz and Morrison have a new single. And they dedicated it to Bad Bunny. And their new single is called Hey Hey Hop Hop. Yeah, well, if you all thought that Hey Hey Ho Ho was enough, this was worse. Hey Hey Ho Ho, that was bad. This was fucking worse. This Hey Hey Hop Hop thing, more like Hey Hey Go Go, get off my TV. Hey Hey Shit, because this was shit. So they end up taking more shots at Bad Bunny. They show a sneak peek at the music video where the Miz and Morrison are dressed in bunny costumes. Oh my god, it was so fucking terrible. Oh my god, we gotta suffer through seeing this video next week. Oh my god, God help us all. God help us wrestling fans. So Miz ended up saying that this week will be the last time we hear the words Bad Bunny, because this diss track will end his career, will end Bad Bunny's career faster than Vanilla Ice. So Miz ended up saying that he will ensure WrestleMania becomes Bad Bunny's living nightmare. So Miz then challenges Bad Bunny to a match at WrestleMania. And Miz ended up saying that he won't just end Bad Bunny's musical career, he will end his career. So Miz ended up telling everyone to watch his next match if we want a preview of WrestleMania. So then out came Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy came out. He ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying that we all know how this goes, and that Miz can't win by himself. So Jeff Hardy then challenged The Miz to send John Morrison to the back if The Miz is a real man. So The Miz and Morrison talk it over. Morrison then leaves. He ended up heading to the back. And so the match got on the way, Jeff Hardy versus The Miz, which this was crap. This was god-awful. Miz ended up taking control of Jeff Hardy. And before the match even started, I'm like, man, it is going to be embarrassing if Jeff Hardy loses to The Miz. Because I knew that he was going to lose to The Miz. Jeff Hardy, he's been booked terribly. So Miz ended up winning. Miz delivered the skull-crushing finale on Jeff Hardy. Miz ended up winning. So post-match, we had The Miz end up standing tall. And out of nowhere, Bad Bunny ends up smashing a guitar over The Miz's back. So Miz ended up looking on. Bad Bunny ended up taunting him from the stage. So then Bad Bunny then took the mic, and he ended up saying that he accepts The Miz's challenge. Bitch. So Bad Bunny ended up saying that he will see The Miz at WrestleMania. So that was that. But this was all god-awful. This was terrible. But yeah, WWE has plans for Bad Bunny at WrestleMania, and also Shane McMahon, which I'll get to. Yet WWE can't book Ricochet, Keith Lee. I can't even say Andrade anymore because Andrade got released. He got released last night after Fastlane ended. So, Andrade, I hope Tony Khan calls him very quickly, and we see Andrade in AEW very soon. Hell, I can't even put Andrade there because he got released. So they can't get Ricochet, they can't get Keith Lee booked for WrestleMania, but yet they got plans for Bad Bunny and Shane McMahon, which I will get to, like I said. Awful. God awful. So then we saw Styles and Omos backstage. Matt Riddle was shown flying by on a scooter. So Styles and Omos ended up talking about the New Day as they headed to the ring. So then Styles and Omos made their way out. They got into the ring. Styles ended up getting on the mic. And Styles was saying how him and Omos are excited about WrestleMania and how they're going to dominate the Raw Tag Team Champions, the New Day, at WrestleMania. So Styles ended up giving some praise to the New Day for their success. And he went on to say that he's confident about him and Omos taking the titles at WrestleMania, saying they can't lose with everything going for them, and they will become an unstoppable tag team. So then out came Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Kofi ended up saying that he can't believe he's heard Styles say tonight. So Kofi and Xavier were like taking shots at Styles and Omos. They were stirring things up between the both of them. Styles ended up getting a bunch of questions wrong because Kofi and Xavier were like, oh, how much do you know about each other? So Kofi and Xavier were asking them these questions like, oh, what is Omos's favorite thing to do? Or what is Styles' favorite thing to do? And then they asked them, oh, who's your favorite superstar? And Styles was like, oh, it's Omos. Omos then ended up saying, oh, Andre the Giant, which Styles was shocked to hear. I thought that was funny. I thought this whole segment was funny here with the New Day. I actually liked it. It made me laugh. But then we had the match. Styles versus Kofi Kingston was a decent match here, where we had Xavier Woods at ringside. Omos was there. We had Kofi end up catching a kick, end up taking Styles down. Kofi then kept control of the match as Styles ended up trying to go for a pin attempt. Styles kept on fighting back at Kofi, but Kofi ended up grounding Styles. Kofi delivered a flying forearm to Styles, went for the cover, which Styles ended up kicking out at 2. Kofi then ended up taking Styles back down into a headlock. Kofi then ended up delivering a back elbow to Styles for a 2 count. So Styles was shown trying to fight from the corner, but Kofi ended up keeping control. He was rocking Styles in the jaw. Styles then takes control, started beating Kofi down, delivering an elbow. Styles then tossed Kofi out to the floor. Styles ended up on the apron as Kofi ended up sliding back into the ring. Kofi then rocked Styles and dropped him on the apron. Kofi then was shown leaping into the corner. He ended up catapulting Styles across the ring. Kofi then delivered a missile drop kick from the corner. And then he did a leg scissors takedown to Styles. And at the end of the match, we had Styles end up applying the calf crusher, but Kofi ended up getting to the bottom rope to break up the calf crusher. Styles was focusing on Kofi's knee. Omos was looking on. Styles ended up going to the apron, and he ended up waiting for Kofi to get up to his knees. So Styles ended up going to springboard Kofi, but Xavier Woods ended up distracting Styles with Francesca, who was the trombone. So Omos ended up walking over, and Styles ended up springboarding in with the phenomenal forearm, but Kofi ended up catching Styles and laid the SOS. So Kofi went for the cover. So there you go. Kofi Kingston ended up winning the match. Post-match, Omos ended up rushing into the ring. Kofi head up the ramp with Xavier Woods. And that was that. So then we saw Sheamus was walking backstage. He got stopped by Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick was interviewing him. So Kevin Patrick ended up asking Sheamus why he accepted the challenge by Bobby Lashley after the No Holds Barred loss to McIntyre. So Sheamus ended up going on, and he ended up telling Kevin Patrick about how tough he is and how he's a fighter. He ended up talking McIntyre, helping him earlier with the Hurt Business, up to respect. And he ended up saying that he didn't need McIntyre's help or ask for it. So then we saw Matt Riddle end up coming by on his scooter. And Matt Riddle, of course, was talking a little nonsense to Sheamus, being a sort of geek jokester with him. So I see that WWE is treating Matt Riddle like he's a comedy act, when this guy is good in the ring, and they're just making him out to be a comedy act. We've been seeing it for months. So Sheamus then ended up taking Matt Riddle's scooter. He ended up hitting Matt Riddle with his scooter, hit him in the gut, hit the scooter in Matt Riddle's gut. So that was that. So then we went to Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, 2-on-1 handicap match. If McIntyre ends up winning, then Cedric and Shelton are banned from ringside during McIntyre's match with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. But this was just a very meh match in my opinion. It was very predictable. In the end of the match, we had McIntyre end up winning, where he ended up hitting claymores to both Cedric and Shelton Benjamin. There was a point where Cedric ended up getting a back body drop, a high back body drop from McIntyre, which he just sold. Cedric actually flew and just sold that back body drop from McIntyre. So, but McIntyre ended up winning. Predictable. We all knew McIntyre was going to win. So post-match, we had McIntyre end up sitting up on the turnbuckle. He ended up looking at the WrestleMania sign. And that was that. Then we had MVP backstage. MVP was talking to Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander about how the both of them tried to help Bobby Lashley when Lashley didn't ask for it. And he ended up saying they couldn't beat McIntyre together. So Lashley ends up storming into the room, pissed off. He ends up pushing Shelton Benjamin. And Lashley ended up saying that since both Cedric and Shelton couldn't get the job done, asking McIntyre, he's going to find someone who can. So then Lashley ends up walking over into a locker room, the jobber locker room, where you saw like the Lucha House Party, you saw Akira Tozawa, Gulak, Ricochet, and Humberto Carrillo. They were all in there. It was the jobber locker room. So Lashley was like, oh, I am offering a shot at the WWE Championship to anyone who can take McIntyre out before WrestleMania. So then Lashley ended up storming out. I'm like, Lashley is saying, oh, any of you could get a title shot to anyone who could take McIntyre out. These guys are jobbers. You really think Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado are going to take out McIntyre? Yeah, sure. McIntyre has a claymore for them in both their names. Akira Tozawa, claymore from McIntyre. Ricochet, who knows? And then Humberto Carrillo, McIntyre will take him out with a claymore. Like, Lashley thinks these guys are going to take McIntyre out? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Dream on, Lashley. Dream on. And we got Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Awful. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax end up winning. Nia Jax ended up delivering the Samoan drop to Dana Brooke. And that was that. And more Reginald out there. Reginald was flipping all over the place, impressing Nia Jax. Who fucking cares? And we had Lana and Naomi on commentary during the match. Who cares? Who gives a shit? So then Alexa Bliss was backstage. She was on her swing. Alexa ended up saying that she knows Randy Orton wanted her out of his life, but she's still here. And so is he. Bliss ended up saying, you can't always get what you want. But tonight she would be careful what Orton wishes for. Alexa Bliss ended up laughing, and she ended up saying in the voice of the Fiend, let me in. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Oh, and then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had Shane McMahon and Elias and Jackson Riker in the ring, just like what we saw last night at Fastlane. We saw the video once again of Shane suffering his injury while he was training before Fastlane. And Shane was shown using a crutch, and he was on the mic. He ended up saying that a lot of people are upset over what happened or what didn't happen at Fastlane. And that no one is more upset than him. because he would have wiped the floor with Braun Strowman, who Shane ended up calling Strowman a peanut brain. Yeah, Shane would have wiped the floor with Strowman? Yeah, okay. Think again, Shane. Shane ended up saying that he will face Strowman as soon as he's healed up. WrestleMania. So Shane ended up mentioning how Elias didn't get the job done last night. Of course he didn't get the job done. It's Braun Strowman. What do you expect? It was a squash match. It was terrible. So Elias then ended up speaking up. Shane ended up telling Elias not to interrupt. He wanted to say that Elias didn't have a lot of time to prepare for Strowman. So that's why he's getting a rematch. Why are we seeing this match again? It's like Vince and Bruce didn't think that, oh, we forgot that this match even took place last night. Vince and Bruce, this match did take place last night. We don't need to see it again. So Shane ended up revealing they have written a song together called Strowman is Stupid, or Braun is Stupid. So he ended up calling on Elias to begin the song. So they end up singing the song. They're taking shots at Strowman's intelligence. And they're like, oh, Braun is so stupid. Awful. This was fucking awful. And then Strowman ended up coming out. Strowman took the mic. And he ended up saying they must think they're funny. Strowman ended up saying that he doesn't care if Shane has a bad leg, because an ass whooping is coming his way. So Strowman ended up saying that he has a song for Elias, which he's probably familiar with. He ended up saying that it's called The Man Who Got These Hands. So Strowman ended up heading to the ring. We got this rematch, which was terrible. It was another squash match. Braun Strowman ended up winning, running power slam to Elias. So Braun Strowman ended up winning. What was so different about this rematch that we didn't see last night? Same fucking shit. So post-match, Shane ended up entering the ring. He ended up smacking Strowman in the back with his crutch, and it did nothing to Strowman. Strowman didn't flinch, didn't feel pain. Strowman then ended up chasing Shane, and Shane was shown just running fine. He was able to run fine. So he didn't have no injury. So Strowman ended up taking the mic, and he ended up saying that it looks like Shane's knee is fine now. So Strowman ended up saying that he has had enough of Shane's games. He ended up saying that he will end this. He promised, and that he made a promise to Shane. Strowman ended up asking if Shane is man enough to face him one-on-one. He ended up saying that he wants Shane at WrestleMania. So Strowman ended up pointing up at the sign. So Shane ended up accepting the match. And he ended up telling Strowman any match he wants, he's going to win. Because you are stupid. No, this show is stupid. So stupid. God, this whole fucking feud between Strowman and Shane is just absolutely terrible. God awful. This is like it's being aimed at third graders. This is like aimed for children. Like I said, might as well have Monday Night Raw on Nickelodeon. After what we saw last week with the green slime. With Shane dumping the green slime on Strowman. And then we had Randy Orton come out. Randy Orton ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying that it seems like just yesterday he watched The Fiend burn at TLC. And I'm saying apparently he didn't get the job done because he smelled the same burnt flesh at Fastlane. Orton ended up saying that he doesn't know what he saw at Fastlane, but he saw an abomination. Orton went on to say that he will finish the job, and that after tonight, there will be no more mind games, no more Alexa Bliss, and no more of The Fiend. So out came Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss came out with her Jack in the Box with the pentagram on it. Alexa Bliss ended up saying that she warned Orton to be careful what he wished for. So she was shown winding the Jack in the Box up, and we saw a creepy figure ended up popping out of the box. So then the lights started to go down in the Thunderdome. So the lights all went out. The ring then exploded with flames coming out of the ring post. And it was shown that the Fiend was behind Randy Orton. Orton then turned around, stared at the Fiend with his distorted mask, like what we saw last night at Fastlane. And I gotta say, the Fiend looking like this with the distorted mask and the way that how he looks now, he looks like something out of Power Rangers. It's like he's a Power Ranger villain. Go, go, Power Rangers. Yeah, might as well. The Fiend looks like I said, the Fiend looks like a Power Ranger villain. So, Orton ended up dropping to one of his knees. He ended up grabbing the bag that he brought out to the ring with him. He had a bag, like a black bag that he bought out, Randy Orton. He pulled out a can of gasoline. A can of gasoline was in the bag. And Orton ended up approaching the Fiend with the gas can. Starts pouring the gas on the Fiend, which was really, of course, water. So Orton ended up pouring more gas on the Fiend. The Fiend was just standing there. He wasn't moving. Orton ended up grabbing a pack of matches now. Orton then approached the Fiend, and he dropped the Fiend with the RKO. So Orton ended up yelling at the Fiend. Alexa Bliss started getting on the ropes, started entering the ropes, but she ended up stopping as Orton ended up staring her down. The Fiend was on his feet. Orton then turned around, and he ended up charging at the Fiend, but the Fiend ended up applying the mandible claw. So the Fiend ended up manhandling Orton with the mandible claw, and he turned the mandible claw into the Sister Abigail, delivered the Sister Abigail to Randy Orton. So Alexa Bliss starts jumping around and laughing. She loved what she saw. So Alexa Bliss ended up pointing up at the WrestleMania sign. Flames were shown shooting up around the sign. So that was how Monday Night Raw ended. So overall, this whole Randy Orton thing is just cheesy. So, but overall, that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Terrible show, as always. God awful. So, oh yeah, and also the train sound from Braun Strowman when he ran around the ring was just fucking comical. I can't believe a train sound effect. A train sound effect was played tonight on Monday Night Raw. Really, this show deserves to be on Nickelodeon. It really does. Oh my God. That was that. That's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Check out my previous videos, the Fastlane review and the movie hunting video, which I uploaded earlier today. Definitely give those a watch. And until then, see you all Wednesday for AEW Dynamite.